Daniel chapter 6 is one of my favorite biblical stories. Daniel has been helping King Darius rule his kingdom, and as it turns out, Daniel's quite good at his job. So good, in fact, that Darius actually promotes him to one of 3 presidency positions, whose responsibility it was to make sure that everything was running smoothly in the whole land. Daniel is so good, in fact, though, that the other 2 presidents and everyone working underneath him, they start to become jealous of him. They envy his relationship with the king. So they plot against him. So what do? Well, they're tricky. They go to Darius, playing on his vanity, and they suggest a new law. Essentially, they propose a piece of legislation which makes it so that for 30 days, people can only pray to the king. They can't pray to God, they have to pray to Darius instead. And if someone breaks this new law and prays to anyone else besides the king, the punishment is for that culprit to be thrown into a den of lions to be eaten. But in order to make this law go into effect for the next 30 days, they need Darius' signature on the document. Now, we don't know how willing Darius was to sign, the Bible doesn't tell us, but eventually he gives into the pressure and he gives his signature. So, it's now against the law to pray to anyone else except to the king. Daniel knows this. He knows it's against the law. He knows the king, his friend, has signed off on this document. But that doesn't stop him. He prays to God anyway. Now the problem is, this group who pressured Darius to establish this new law, they knew Daniel would keep praying to God because that was just the kind of guy Daniel was. He stuck to his values. He stuck to his beliefs. He lived an activated faith. The law wasn't going to change any of that. So sure enough, one day, this group, they catch him praying to God, and immediately they go and tattle on him to the king. Darius realizes the mistake he's made. He regrets it. He doesn't want to throw Daniel into the den of lions. But again, Darius gives into their pressure. And so he reluctantly places Daniel in the lion's den. And as the stone is shut over the pit, Darius wishes Daniel all the best, and he says, "May your God deliver you." Well, the next morning, it comes, and Darius runs to the den, and before the stone can be lifted away, he yells out to Daniel, hoping, praying that Daniel is still alive. And he is. Daniel shouts back to Darius that an angel of the Lord came through the night and shut the mouths of the lions. Daniel has survived. And Darius is so relieved to hear this good news that he changes his mind about the law. He admits, yeah, this was probably a bad idea. Daniel is immediately removed from the pit, and Darius creates a new mission statement for his entire kingdom, that all should come to know and trust in the God of Daniel. What I love about this story is that it's a story about pressure. Darius is pressured to make this law, and even though he probably recognizes the consequences of it, he signs it anyway. And then when Daniel is found in violation of this law, Darius is again pressured by this same group to throw Daniel in with the lions. Darius is always giving in to pressure and bending to other people's expectations of him. And contrast that with Daniel. Daniel, despite knowing the dangers, despite knowing that his friend, the king, signed off on this document, on this law, despite all of this, he instead chooses to follow his heart, and he did what he thought was right. He didn't give in to the pressure around him. He didn't give in to the pressure to conform, and instead he focused his heart on God. There's something to be learned from Daniel, I think.